information is not only for newly arrived Afghans, it's for every single immigrant that's out there and what they can do to protect themselves and what to expect under the Trump administration. So one of the questions I get now that January 20th the Trump administration has come in is, what can immigrants do to protect themselves inside the United States, whether Afghan or other immigrants? Well, we're lucky that we live in the state of California where the governor has provided guidance, and Attorney General Bonta has provided protection for immigrants, whether Afghans or immigrants from other communities. So first and foremost, I'm sorry, can I ask them to be quiet? I'm so sorry. We have guests here live, so I wanted to make sure I was giving all the information. So one of the things is that if you're living in California and hopefully other states, they provide protection for immigrants. First and foremost, Immigration Custom Enforcement, there's no cooperation from state and local officials in California to cooperate with law enforcement and do mass deportation that the administration coming in is seeking to do. So that's one thing to kind of like calm the community in that regards. And I know that I'm live streamed all across the U.S., so again, I want to reiterate, I'm speaking for California. Maybe other states are going to be providing similar protections for everyone. Second of all, for those Afghans who were paroled in August of 2021 and onwards, and also for those who came in through the Mexican border. It's very, very important, first and foremost, that any type of status that you have, whether you have humanitarian parole, whether you have TPS or re-parole, or you have been waiting to file for asylum, make sure that whatever status you have, you file the required documents to maintain your status. You do not want to fall out of status. One, it won't provide you protection for legal status, and two, it's important to have that record. If you have a 2-year work permit, consider renewing it to possibly get a 5-year work permit. That might be possible, but that might go away under the new administration. If your case is processing for a long time and you're working with an attorney or an organization that's helping you, maybe reach out to congressional help to see if there's any way to expedite your application. If you have SIV status or you're thinking of applying for asylum but you haven't, please apply for one of those reliefs that you're seeking, because being out of status could potentially harm you without having any status, so it's very important to do that. The other thing is, if you have arrived recently or you have been here for many years, I would consider, if you are a U.S. citizen but you don't have a U.S. passport, please apply for the U.S. passports for your family as soon as possible, just so you have the passport. The regulations may get difficult. Again, those are for individuals who are U.S. citizens, but they just haven't gotten around to filing for a U.S. passport. Please take the time. It's a very quick process online. You can just pay a little bit and then get it expedited process. The other thing that I'm really seeing in the Afghan community and other community is this talk about mass deportation and the risk of being there. Now, they have said that, and I've seen it in the past under this administration, is the priority for those who have already been ordered deported by the immigration judge, or they have criminal record and law enforcement, ICE has access to those records, they may put potentially someone in deportation. So unless you've already been ordered deported by an immigration judge, or you have a criminal record that makes you deportable, if you're a green card holder, or if you're an asylee or SIV or TPS or humanitarian parole, whatever it may be, those individuals are potentially at risk. And so you should consult with an immigration attorney that handles criminal convictions and give you advice on that. So that's very, very important. The other thing I just caution the community, including our beloved Afghan community, is if you have asylee status, if you have green card status, if you have TPS, humanitarian parole, whatever status you have right now, make copies of the documentations in your phones or in your car so you have those documents in case it's necessary. Now, local and state law enforcement under the Constitution are not allowed to ask you for your legal status and ask you, what is your status, where you're from. You can just say, I want to remain silent and I want my attorney here. And if you have a family member or someone in the community that can guide you, just give them a call. You do not have to disclose your legal status to anybody. If you come into contact with immigration, they're usually looking for somebody. They're not going to go randomly and ask people their immigration status. Or we hope that that's not what they're going to be doing. So for those Afghans coming in through the Mexican, U.S.-Mexican border, some things to keep in mind that right now some of you may have used the CBP One app. Likely the CBP One app it's an app that you use to get an appointment to speak to an asylum officer at the border. Most likely the CBP One app will be canceled. And like last time, Trump administration had people wait outside in Mexico to ask for asylum. Right now, under this administration, you would get an interview at the border, and if it was credible fear, you were allowed into the U.S. and continue with the asylum. So we'll see likely changes with those. People worry about being deported back to Afghanistan. At this time, Afghanistan is not taking people who have been ordered deported, but potentially we may see that change in that under the administration if the Afghan government decides to take people back, or you may get deported to a third country. But again, that is not mass deportation. That is not for majority of the Afghans. It's mainly for those who have been deported or they have criminal record. And so for all the newcomers that are here, my advice would be is, stay out of trouble. Do not, avoid getting into contact with law enforcement, whether domestic violence, theft, drug convictions, DUIs, especially if you're an asylee and a green card holder. Those have catastrophic consequences for your long-term immigration status, so it's very important to protect that. Now, a lot of people are rightfully worried they got evacuated from Afghanistan, but their family members are still left. So every day I get questions about, I've had asylum and I haven't filed anything. So keep in mind, if you have asylum, you will have to wait about a year, but you can file earlier for your green card. But when you filed for your asylum, or if you haven't, it's very, very important that you file for your asylum right away. If your asylum is approved and you put your family members in it, which is the form I-730, it's very important that you file that for your family. And then the process, unfortunately, right now, even now under the current administration, has been extensive to bring family members. We anticipate that process is going to take even longer in years. So, for example, right now, if I filed for a spouse of a U.S. citizen, it's taking about three years or more to bring that family members here. So I had the opportunity to go to the military bases, and many families were left apart, and they were saying, oh, my family's coming. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So with this administration, we're going to see long processes for the I-730. We anticipate that the care team that's done the evacuation is going to get less and less, and possibly the whole program may go away. A lot of questions I get asked is about the P1, P2 program. Even from when the Taliban came in 2021, there have been, alhamdulillah, many people that came in through the P1, P2, but that's a very small percentage of the number of people who have applied for P1, P2. And we anticipate that the longer wait process for those, and then also it may potentially go away, but I'm not certain if that program is going to go away. We're also going to see severe delays at the consular processing. So unfortunately, right now at this time, the only place Afghans can get an interview is Islamabad, and some in Rwanda, and maybe a few in Qatar and other places. But If there's no embassy designated for Afghans to go directly, Afghans are going to have a very limited time. So for those who are waiting to be reunited with their loved ones through the I-730 or through other processes, it's just going to get longer for everyone. Now, I wanted to kind of talk about like when you're traveling, whether you're traveling on a travel document because Afghans can't get passports renewed immediately, or you're a green card holder, um, or you're a U.S. citizen. Um, we're living in an age where the Custom Border Protection officers have the authority to do whatever you know, they want to go ahead and make it difficult for some people. So it's very, very important for people to um, keep a copy of your passport, keep a copy of your itinerary with a loved one. And also, it's very, very important in this day and age where we have our cell phones, we don't know anybody's number. They may take your phone away, so at that you have a right to talk to a family member, make a call. So memorize one phone number to somebody, let them know that you're traveling. And if you have an attorney, let your attorney know that, hey, at this time I'm traveling and I want to make sure that there's no issue. Inshallah, there's no issues. These are just precautions that we want to take to, in case we get that one rogue officer where they're giving you difficulties. Now, I'm not here to put fear in everyone. I'm just saying that let's be cautious. I'm a U.S. citizen and I travel, and I will wholeheartedly say I am an immigration attorney. I have colleagues who I tell them, hey, I'm traveling. In case something happens, can I get a hold of you? So if I'm an attorney and I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm taking that precaution, I would want other people. And 99% of the time, nothing happens to me. The 1% I might get pulled over or ask questions. So just being cautious, but not being fearful. So it's a balance of what I'm trying to do is to educate the community without putting that fear in the community. So that's really, really important. If you're a U.S. citizen, you have a right to enter the country, even if you're a green card holder and others, but particularly if you're a U.S. citizen, you have a right to enter. You have a right to not answer any questions. If they want to open your phone, you have a right not to open. Now, they may keep you in an inspection, and you can say, I have a right to talk to an attorney. Now, you may not have an attorney, and that's fine, but you should have a phone number for a family member that can reach out to and then give that information. So it's really important. And do not, under any circumstances, fill out any papers, whether you're a green card holder, whether you're an asylee traveling to another country, coming back in.